Let's bring in Dr. James Boys, Senior Research Fellow at the Centre on US Politics at University College London. Welcome to BBC News. Following that, he has done quite a long, in-depth interview with ABC, which has been televised, of course, which was a little bit more combative about his 100 days. But first of all, the rally in Michigan. Talk us through what's going on there.
Well, good morning. Yes, it's interesting, of course. Michigan was one of those 7 key swing states, which Donald Trump likes to tell everybody that he managed to win on Election Day against what many people thought was the expectation of potential defeat there. It's also home of the auto industry, which of course he is hoping to rebuild by repatriating manufacturing back to not only America, but to that particular state. It's also home of Gretchen Whitmer, the state's governor, who, of course, many people thought might well have been a potential replacement for Joe Biden last summer, and who many people also think could well be a leading Democratic candidate in now just, 3 or 4 years' time. So he's really gone there and, to quote Bill Clinton, he's hugging her close. You saw Barack Obama do something very similar with Chris Christie back in his time in office to almost negate any support that Whitmer might have from her own Democratic base, which I think is going to really unsettle the Democratic Party in Michigan, which, of course, will have severe implications for the campaign in 2028 now.
And also during that speech, he talked about various changes he's making to his tariff plans when it comes to the auto sector in particular, which was very well received where he was, as you say. But his approval ratings are pretty poor at 100 days. He's been extremely controversial, which he said he would be. He would bring change and fast. He's definitely delivered on that front. But what do you think people will be considering as we reach this milestone of 100 days?
Well, you're absolutely right. And as Donald Trump said to ABC in what you rightly refer to as a very combative and downright rude, quite on some occasions, interview this evening, Donald Trump was very clear. He is delivering upon what he campaigned for. He's made no secret about the fact that America was in an economic mess, and he believed he had a mandate to address those issues. You talk about his polling, and you're right. According to some polls, it is underwater. The only people less popular at the moment than Donald Trump, however, are Democrats, which will be some, I think, benefit to the White House. What you are going to see, I think, is some redress in those polls. If you look at, for example, the state of the economy, we have an inflation at this point, which is 2.4%. Petrol is under $2 in some states. Unemployment is about 4.2%. So the overlying trends of the economy here are certainly trending in the right direction from the White House's point of view. And even the stock market, I think you saw today, rebounding upon news of a potential trade deal with India. So the White House is moving very, very fast through the use of executive orders. It knows it has a very truncated time period in which to do so. The midterm elections, of course, are next year. And once they are out of the way, all eyes will turn to Donald Trump's successor and the campaign for re-election, campaign for the presidency in 2028.
Yeah, and I mean, we will get out of the US later today. Its growth figures for the first quarter, which many of the big banks are predicting will show contraction actually in the first 3 months of this year. And you mentioned the stock market has recovered somewhat, but actually the performance of the stock market in the first 100 days for President Trump is a lot worse than previous presidents. It's been incredibly volatile. People have actually lost a lot of money when it comes to their investments, which in the US, they're very aware of, aren't they? They're clocking what their investments are worth on their apps and all sorts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 401ks are of particular importance here, and nothing I say should diminish that. But I think that what is interesting is you clearly, I think, see a pattern here. Donald Trump has introduced the tariffs at the back end of Q1 with an expectation that quarter 2 and 3 will see a steady flow of nations coming to Washington seeking deals as India, Japan, Korea, obviously the United Kingdom are seeking to do something similar, with the expectation that by the end of this year, the White House will be able to unveil a series of bilateral agreements which will allowed Donald Trump and his Republican allies to campaign going into the midterm elections in the coming year on the basis of promises made and promises kept, so that any pain which is afforded to the American electorate is very short term, and that by the time you move into the new calendar year, the economy will have rebounded. That's the White House ambition. And of course, if it all goes to plan, I'm sure they'll be rewarded at the polls. If they're not, there will be hell to pay. I'm quite sure of that.
Indeed. We shall watch and we shall be reporting on all of that. Dr. James Boyce, for now, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the first 100 days of President Trump. We'll have more on the US economy and the latest tweaks to tariffs in business a little later. But now let's bring you some of the day's other news.